Hi everyone and welcome back to another card making video, and let's take a look on the November card kit by Simon Says Stamp. So first of all, let's take a look at the stamp set. This is a stamp set about Thanksgiving. You will find lots and lots of sentiments that you can use, as well as a focal point. Then there is this lovely leaf, which is a die set. I'm going to take it out of the package so you can see it better. It is going to give you a die that cuts out the leaf as well as the word thanks. And you will see, I'm going to use this die so you can see that you get not only the letters but also a couple of outlines. So let's move on to the next product, and you will find 4 different colors of the ink pads. I absolutely love these ones, they are really juicy. And let's move on to the stencil. Now this is a set of stencils which is matching with the die set. There are 4 different stencils inside that you can layer one on top of the other. For today I'm going to make a card using this set of stencils, which you can definitely recreate by using your own color combinations. Now in the kit there is also a second stamp set, a smaller one, which is full of sentiments, and this is really versatile that you can use throughout the year. It comes with 3 big thanks and then supplementary smaller sentiments, phrases that match together. Absolutely love this one. Then you will get distress paint, and this is a lovely color matching the kit, as well as glossy accents, a great little bottle to have to add that shine in your projects, some glitter, which I usually avoid because I always make a mess and it goes pretty much everywhere. You will also find a little brush by Ranger, and actually it is great for adding splatters. If you are a fan of them like I am, then this is a great one to have. And then let's move on and take a look at the pattern paper. Now there are 6x6 pattern papers included, which are double-sided. Really difficult to choose which pattern to use because they are all so gorgeous. I love how grungy they are. They give kind of a steampunk vibe. And then of course you will get cardstock, a metallic one, and 2 more colors. So usually I share 10 cards using the products from the kit. However, today I'm going to take my time and enjoy the process and create just one special card. Now lately I really enjoy using stencils and layering techniques. So for today I'm going to use my stamp and stencil mat to keep my paper down, as well as my stencil. And I'm also using this corner, which is an alignment corner, and it's really helpful so that when I place the other layers I don't have to align at all. And here are the colors of inks that I'm going to use. The Sangria one, which is the last one, was included in the kit. The other 3 I had it from my stash. I'm using my blending brush and I'm applying the first layer of color. Now this should be the open leaf stencil, and then you can apply the lighter color from the ones that you have chosen. Then there are 3 more stencils, and really it doesn't matter which one you use, second, third and fourth. I didn't even pay attention on, on them, but it really looks nice no matter which one you choose to go with next. So for this layer I'm going with orange, and you can recreate the same card using pretty much the same colors. Use whatever colors you have. They can be even shades of green for a card that is not fall. And you can definitely go with crazy colors. It doesn't have to be greens or yellows. Now already just by using the 2 stencils I think it looks beautiful, and it could look beautiful with shades of green, just the 2 of them. And then I'm going to move on and use the 3rd color that I have. And if you are wondering, I do not have one blending brush for every color that I'm using, for every ink pad that I have on my stash. I tend to use the same brush for the same color family. I don't even clean them and wash them with water. I just use them as they are, and I always, before I move on to another color, just wipe off a few times on a paper towel. So you see here I get more definition with the third color, and now let's move on to the fourth color, which is the darker one. I am going with the Sangria one, and you will see that it's going to give a beautiful vibe on the leaf. I think that this maple leaf really looks like real. So one tip that I can give you when you are using those sticky mats is to turn them around and peel off the mat instead of peeling off the paper. This way you make sure that the paper is going to stay nice and flat. Now I'm going to use the matching die from the kit to cut out the leaf, and let's work a little bit on that, because when you are making a special card, it's all about the details. So here I'm going to add some splatters, and I'm using the Sangria ink pad for that. So I'm not introducing a new color, it's going to blend nicely with what I already have on my leaf, but at the same time it's going to give that extra detail which is going to fall on all the different areas and kind of bring them together so it doesn't look so stenciled anymore. If you want to get rid of that white border, just go around it with the lighter color and cover it up. Or another option is to use your blending tool and go with vintage photo all around it with brown. Now let's work on the background. I'm going to use one of the pattern papers from the kit, and I'm going to cut it to be 3.5 by 4 3/4. So this is going to be slightly smaller than the standard card, which is going to allow for some border all around. Now since I did use vintage photo all around my leaf, I'm going to repeat the same detail for my background. This way I create a kind of the same vibe, the same look, since they do have the same color on the edges. And then I'm going to bring in the smaller stamp set, and I'm going to pick one of the words that says thanks, which I'm going to use to stamp on the background. I'm not going to stamp all over the place. I'm just going to stamp randomly here and there just to create some visual texture on the background and make it look more interesting. For that I'm using Distress ink and vintage photo, which is again the color that I used for the borders. You can definitely go with something more saturated, more vibrant if you want to really see that stamping. However, I was going for a more subtle look, but I'm going to show you how it's going to show if you use, for example, the Sangria color. It really depends on the look that you are going for. So here are both looks next to each other. You can see one is more subtle, definitely a background. And you can definitely use that Sangria one to ink up the edges as well. I'm going to show you how it's going to look. It is going to give you a more warm and saturated look. So anything goes really, just use whatever you like. Now I'm going to use some foam tape at the back of my leaf so that I can pop it on top of my background, and before I do that I decided to use the metallic cardstock at the back. I cut that to be slightly larger than my main panel so that I end up with a lovely border all around which gives a beautiful shine. And I used my Nuvo glue at the back for those two panels just because I can slide one on top of the other and have the perfect placement. Now I have foam tape at the back. I'm going to place it on top of a black panel. You can definitely go ahead and stick that straight at the center and perfectly aligned. I'm more of an offset girl, so I just had to place it a little bit offset, which is exactly what I'm going to do with the leaf as well. But again, you can align everything at the center and have everything completely aligned, even the focal point, the leaf. Now next step, I'm going to add some splatters with the metallic paint that I have from the kit. Now this is completely optional, you don't have to do it. I love splatters and they are never enough for me. So I just had to dilute that with a little bit of water, and I'm just going to add some splatters. I don't mind if they fall on the black border at the back. To tell you the truth, I want the splatters to fall there because I will end up having a little detail on all the layers of my card, which is the little detail that brings everything together. Now finally let's work on the sentiment. I'm using the 2 dies from the kit and I'm going to cut out the border out of black cardstock and the actual words out of the metallic cardstock from the kit. Once you run them through the die cutting machine, you will see that you get an extra border. So there are plenty of ways that you can use these sentiments. So for example, you can use the one outline over the other, just like so. And you can even use a little bit on the inside of the letter A to finish it off. Or you can just stick the letters, which is what I'm going to do. I'm using glue, liquid white glue, and I'm going to put everything together. You can even use the outline if you want to make sure that you stick everything correctly as a template. And then I want to have a secondary sentiment. So I did apply my anti-static powder pouch just to make sure that I don't end up with any static electricity. I stamped my sentiment with embossing ink and then applied my embossing powder, which I'm going to heat set. I did cut out a very thin strip of that secondary sentiment, and now I'm going to add some foam squares at the back of the sentiment so that I can pop them on top of my card. Now again, the placement is really up to you. I am going offset again since that's the whole vibe of the card today. So first I'm going to stick the word thanks and then just kind of nest the secondary sentiment. And of course you can call the card done at this stage. All you have to do is to just stick it on top of a pre-folded card that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, or you can add some sequins, some pearls. I'm using my contour liner to add some dots, and you can see here some close-up photos. I hope that you had fun today, that you got inspired. Links to everything I used can be found down below in the description. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you all next time.